Friends of Right to Ignite. This is Carol Baldwin again. I'm on the team Right to Ignite, and today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about figurative language, particularly about similes and metaphors. Now, we all know that figurative language is one way to really draw a reader into a story, and appropriate similes and metaphors can be an excellent way to be lyrical and to really communicate a lot in your story or in nonfiction. You can also use figurative language there. But today I'm going to talk to you about one don't, one do, and then a little bit of a how to. Very short mini lesson on similes and metaphors. So, first of all, the don't, the warning. You don't want to overload your manuscript with similes and metaphors because your reader doesn't know what to pay attention to. So, if you have one, first of all, we need a definition of simile and metaphor. Let's backtrack a bit. Simile is any comparison between that you use like or as. So, for example, if you were to say, your Susie felt like an empty barrel, that is using like or as, or she looked like an empty barrel. That would be another way to use a simile. But if Susie was an empty barrel, then that's a metaphor that you're not using the like or as. Okay, so back to the don't. So you have your character Susie, who is feeling like an empty barrel, and you have that in paragraph one. And then maybe in paragraph, then you have another, maybe you have some dialogue between Susie and her mother and why she's feeling like an empty barrel. But then in maybe the fourth paragraph down, then she is feeling like a tree, and she's feeling as free as a bird. And then the reader is going to think, now what do I pay attention to? The emotion of emptiness, where she is feeling like an empty barrel, or is she now all of a sudden free as a bird? So those are pretty silly examples, but you don't want to overload your manuscript. And one of the things that I see when I'm critiquing with some newbie writers is that they're so excited about using figurative language, which is great, but that it overwhelms the manuscript. So that's the don't. But the second one is the do. So when do you want to use the figurative language? Well, particularly when you want to amplify emotion, when you really want to call attention to something, and that is a strong point in your story and something that you want your reader to sink into and really experience. So I'm going to give you an example from Half Truths. I talked to you in my last video that I was going through it and reading it out loud, which is something we all need to do before we submit our manuscripts. And Kate, my main character, Kate Dinsmore, has very long hair. She loves her hair. She loves the long braids. She loves playing with her hair. It's a source of comfort to take that braid and brush it against her cheek. But her grandmother, who she lives with now, doesn't like it. And her grandmother decides that it's going to come off. And this is what I had written right after grandmother announces that she's going for a haircut. It's first person. This is Kate. I swipe my braid across my cheek and choke back tears. Then Lillian, who's also in the kitchen at the same time, she moves over to make room for me at the sink, and she says, "Thought you could take care of her, huh?" Her words punch me in the gut. Lillian knows me better than I care to admit. I don't want to cut my hair. Looks like you don't have a choice. Lillian's voice shifts and her eyes get a faraway look in them. I guess she's felt as the same as I do right now, as hollow as my empty conch shell. So then I was reading that and I thought I didn't like the conch shell. Even though she has a seashell collection and the reader has seen that the conch shell, that doesn't really get to the point of what Kate is really experiencing. She's not just experiencing emptiness, but she's experiencing helplessness and powerlessness with her grandmother. And that's what she's identifying that Lillian has also felt too. And so then I started thinking about what is the simile that I want to use there. And what I did, and maybe you can see this a little bit. This is my draft. Well, it's my printout of my manuscript. And what I did is I first identified the feeling of powerlessness and helplessness. And then I started listing all the different things that might show that powerlessness or helplessness. So I just brainstormed. I thought slave with a master, a rabbit in a trap, a prisoner stuck in a cell, a hammer without a nail, a soldier without ammunition, a soldier without a rifle. And I was just brainstorming. I was just free associating. And I'll probably end up with a sentence that says something like, I guess she's felt the same as I do, like a soldier without a rifle. I'm not sure because I'm still tweaking it, but the background of my story is the Korean War. Both Lillian's brother and Kate's father are over in Korea. So there's different aspects. I refer back and forth to the war, and I've used the language of warfare in the book, hopefully subtly. And so I'll probably end up with using a simile that refers back to how powerless a soldier might feel without his ammunition. So that's a quick mini lesson on figurative language, some do's and don'ts. Let me know in the comments if that was helpful. I hope that it has, and we'll see you later. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.